Hey guys, welcome to Chilling with Henny. Today I'm going to show you my go-to recipe for shredded beef. You will see it's very few steps, extremely simple. It takes a long time to get the meat to shred, but the actual preparation and what you need to do is extremely quick. It comes out very juicy, extremely tender. Let's get to it right away. Okay, so we're gonna be doing the shredded beef today. We're gonna have to get our spice mix ready, and while we do that, make sure you have your water preheating so you can get it to boiling. So first thing we're gonna do to prepare our shredded beef is get the spice mix ready. So let's get to it. As always, I'll have the exact amounts in the description in case you don't follow along right now. And before anything, the first thing that I did is I filled up this pot here with 10 cups of water, and I'm trying to get it to boil while I prepare the other things. Also, while the water is starting to boil, I have this pan here at medium heat preheating so we can get a beautiful sear on our chuck. Now let's get back to the spices. And I put the spices in the order of the amounts that I'm going to be using. We'll be using 3 tablespoons, 2 tablespoons, 2 tablespoons, 1, and 1. And just to let you know, this is paprika, onion powder, garlic powder, ground mustard, coriander, cardamom, cumin, thyme, and rosemary. So now let's get them in a bowl. Next step is to make sure the water is extra hot, and let's get this one to maximum heat so we can get a sear going. While the pan on the right heats up, we're gonna add 4 tablespoons of the powder that we mixed. And this is a half tablespoon measure, so I'm gonna do 8 of these. The rest of the rub you keep. You can use it for so many different things. Your chicken, your fish. You can top it off on your fries, chips. This is a very delicious and versatile seasoning mix. Hope you guys enjoy it. Now let's give the water a quick mix. And right now there's no salt in here. It smells delicious already. Let's get you guys up close. Look at that. Looking good. Okay, now we're gonna turn over to the other pan, wait for it to get extra hot, then we will sear the meat. Okay, now let's start with a little bit of avocado oil, just enough to get the bottom. There you go. Let's turn off the vents. And as you can tell, it is ripping hot. That's exactly what we want because the meat is from the refrigerator, so we want to make sure this is extra hot. Now we're gonna let it hang out there for maybe a good 2 to 3 minutes so we get a beautiful sear, and that's about it. Now we wait. Okay, and I'm about happy with how it looks, so now we're gonna give it a turn. There you go, look at that beautiful sear. Now we're gonna do the same, wait a few minutes, turn it a little bit, and then we will add the liquid. Okay, let's take a look. Looks nice. I'm satisfied with that sear. So now what we're going to do is add all of our liquid. Don't forget that pot will be hot, so make sure you grab some towels or something so you don't burn yourself on grabbing the hot pot. Alrighty, and like I always say, please be careful with steam burns. Okay, and for now that's about it. One thing we're gonna do right now is we're gonna add a little bit of salt. Or 2 big pinches. And we won't be adding any more salt until we're shredding the meat. Right now we're just gonna give the broth a little extra flavor, give it a stir. And we have 2 pounds of meat here, so we're gonna let that go for a good while. We'll check in every maybe 15 to 20 minutes, but this will take at least a solid hour. So we'll check back in. See you guys soon. And before we go, let's put a lid on it. We want it to cook with the lid on because we don't want the liquid to reduce pretty much by anything right now. We're gonna let it cook slow, and at a low temperature it's still gonna bubble away, but we want to keep the reduction of the liquid as low as possible for now. Once the meat is shredded, we're gonna reduce the liquid to intensify the flavors, but at this point we're just gonna go low and slow. Alrighty guys, so I have been checking in on it about every 30 minutes or so, and at this point we are 3 hours in. Let's lower the heat before we open it. Steam. Looks delicious. And as it was cooking, this part of the meat kept on lifting, so I kept on flipping it back and forth to make sure I got an even cooking. Look at that, looks very good. You can see that it's breaking apart here and there. And now, let's see, you can just pinch it and you see. So now we're gonna pull it. We're gonna get our board here close. Be careful because it wants to fall apart. And and you can still see the beautiful sear. So, oh, sorry. Once we pull this, some of the bits will still have that sear. For the time being, I'm gonna let it rest a little bit so then I can pull it with, you know, fork or by hand or however I need to. After we pull it, we're gonna put it right back in for about another 20 to 30 minutes. Let it absorb some flavor as it's pulled. And then the very last step is we're gonna add any salt that it may need. So I'll see you guys in about 5 to 10 minutes once this is a little cooler. Okay, and we're back. And I decided to skip the 5-10 minute wait because I wanted to try something new. I haven't used this one in a while, so it's very soft. So even though it's hot, I should be able to still just chop it up really easily. So let's go for it. Yeah, it's chopping well. Just a little rough chop, and it should finish shredding once we pour it back in. But you can tell it's totally falling apart. I just really wanted to use this on camera. Okay, we're all set. Let's put it back into the stew. Okay, let's go. Our next step is to put it back in. And the broth is still warm. Actually, it's quite hot. And you can see how much it went down. You can see the mark where it started here, and it's now all the way down here. We started with 10 cups of liquid, and it looks like, eyeballing it, guesstimating, it looks like we're down to half of our liquid. Now we're gonna pour this back in slowly to not splash ourselves. Now we're gonna stir it in a bit. We're gonna let it hang out here for a good, I don't know, 5-10 minutes or so. Let it absorb some of the juices back, and then we're gonna salt it. And this will be the final step. I really wanna try it now, but I'm gonna wait a few minutes once it's time to salt it. Okay, and I'll see you guys in a few. Okay, we're a few minutes in. Now let's take a look. It looks great. Grab my spoon. Tasting for salt right now. We had only salted it a little bit earlier, so it's totally in need of salt. But I wanted to know where it was at before I started salting. I'll start with 2 pinches. Stir it in, let it dissolve before I try it again. As I stir it, you'll see the nice seared bits. Look at that. Those are gonna be the best pieces. That's why I always say it's extremely important to get a sear in the beginning. It makes a huge difference. So let's let it hang out for a second. Let's let the salt dissolve, and then we'll try it out. Oh, tastes delicious. That was it. So now we're just gonna close it, let it hang out, and we're pretty much all done. Now we're gonna show you one way to use this shredded beef. I'm gonna make a delicious sandwich, and I hope you guys enjoy it, so stay tuned. Okay guys, now that we have our shredded beef ready, I'm gonna show you one of my favorite ways to use it. We're gonna be making a little sandwich, so let's get to it. We're gonna be using about 1/4 of this onion. Anytime I use an onion, I like to leave the whole thing peeled, even though I'm not gonna use it all, and throw away the trash. What I do is, the parts that I'm not gonna use, put them in a little baggie, leave them in the refrigerator door. Like I said, we're gonna use about 1/4 of this. And I'm gonna chop it as thinly as I can manage, so it cooks quicker and gets nice and soft. I mean, if you can cut this thing like a sheet of paper, that's wonderful. My knife skills definitely need some work. Alrighty, there we go. That's enough. So I'm gonna put the rest of this away, and let's weigh it out. Okay, about 69 grams. Then we're gonna use a jalapeno. Take off the top. When I'm chopping it, I'm trying to remove as many seeds as I can and leave it as clean as I can without doing too much work. So we remove most of it, and whatever's there, we're just gonna keep it, that's fine. And just like the onions, we're gonna cut them as thinly as we can manage. And that's just a personal preference of mine. It totally doesn't matter how you cut these. And if you don't like jalapeno, feel free to use a green bell pepper. It's not a problem at all. Okay, now let's see how much jalapeno we have here. Okay, looks good, 57 grams. Now let's continue. Okay, we have our little pan over here. Let's get the heat on. And just to let you know, we're gonna be using 2 slices of that bread, 40 calories each. And here I have 1 ounce or 28 grams of fat-free mozzarella. And the only thing we're gonna do to this is hit it a little bit. That's it. That will be plenty for us. Now I'm gonna let it get a little warm before I add the onions to it. And I will be adding the onions before the jalapenos. I like the onions to get a lot more cooked than the jalapenos. I prefer my onions to be all the way cooked, nice and caramelized, and I do like the jalapenos to have a little bit of crunch left. We're just gonna let it heat up for a bit. Okay, let's toss our onions in. Break them up a little bit so they get cooked, they don't get stuck together. And that's it for now. Let's just wait a moment. Let's give it a quick stir. And I am going to add a lid on this just to get a little steam action going on. I'm going to group them all together to make sure we don't get too much burning going on at the ends. And now we just wait for a moment, let the steam do its thing, and a little bit later we will add the jalapenos. Okay, let's take a look, and don't forget we cut it very thinly. We definitely want to be checking on it to make sure they don't burn. You can already see we're starting to get some color, exactly what I wanted. I want to make sure that they're thoroughly cooked but not burned at all. And at this point, now that we've got a head start on the onions, now we're going to add the jalapenos. Give it a quick stir, mix them in. Now that we have both ingredients in here, now we're gonna add some salt. And a little black pepper. And black pepper, as always, to taste. Also, if you don't like black pepper, you can go ahead and skip it. Now let's give it a quick stir. Okay, now we're gonna throw the lid back on and let it steam for a while. And stay close, because this one can burn very easily, so don't go too far away from it. We'll be back in a second. Okay, while we have that cooking, let's get our bread ready. We're just gonna toast it. Put the cheese on. This is just a preference of mine, but I like to put all the cheese on one side just to make it nice and gooey on one side. And fat-free cheese, those who use it know that it kind of gets solid on you. So at the same time, it also acts as like a guard. So the liquid doesn't go all the way through the bread and doesn't make the bread soggy. So that's why I like to make a thick layer on one side. Now we're gonna get it over to the toaster. Okay, so we're at the final step now. And like I had mentioned earlier, fat-free cheese doesn't really melt. As you can see, it is nice and soft, but at the same time, it'll help us so the juices don't penetrate. Well, let's get to assembly. And here I have 3 ounces of meat, which is 84 grams. And when you're weighing out cooked meat, what you want to do is, because it's already cooked and you've lost some liquid in it, is you take whatever you weigh it and multiply it by 0.75, and that's how many ounces you actually have. This 6-ounce portion that I have here is actually 8 ounces. So you have to be careful when you're weighing things like that out. I remember when I started dieting, I was weighing things out as cooked, and I didn't realize I was counting out a whole bunch of calories. So now if you weigh something out that's cooked, just multiply it by 0.75, and that's how many ounces it should actually be. Okay, rant over. Here we go. We got our veggies there. Always gotta have some veggies. Pile them on thick, pile them on high. And since the jalapeno had practically no seeds, we removed it all. This is very, very light on spice, practically nothing. I would even say that the pepper has more kick than the jalapeno at this point. Okay, we're all done. I will see you guys at the table. Hey YouTube, how's it going? So today I showed you my recipe for shredded beef, and out of that shredded beef we made a nice little sandwich. I guess it would be similar to a Philly cheesesteak, but if anyone saw me call this a Philly cheesesteak, they'd probably have a heart attack. So let's just say this is a shredded beef sandwich. Now let's test it out. Cheers. Super delicious. The meat is extremely soft. It's very juicy. Even though we toasted the bread, the bottom of the bread is already a little soft. Of course, I took like 100 pictures just to get one for the thumbnail, so that didn't help. But the meat is so tender, well seasoned. The jalapeno is not spicy at all. I can actually taste the black pepper more than the jalapeno. The onions are caramelized. They're nice and soft. It's a perfect touch to it, and a little background chewiness with the cheese. It's delicious. I hope you guys give it a try. Let me know what you think. And don't forget, this shredded meat is not only intended for this sandwich. You can do so many things with it. I like to do like take your tortilla chips, put beans and cheese, do it in burrito form, do it in quesadilla form. It's extremely versatile. What I wanted you guys to see was how I make the pulled beef, the shredded beef, and then you guys do whatever you want with it. Let me know what you guys do. Let me know what you guys try. Let me know if you guys want me to try any other different recipes. Thanks for chilling with Henny. Until next time.